Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. One of the beautiful sutta, which is very essential for us, the sutta is Sammādiṭṭhi Sutta. Last week we talked about two pathways, two things that how to gain the Sammādiṭṭhi. This sutta was explained by Sariputta Bhante, and Sariputta Bhante says to monks that because how someone can become the stream enterer, how someone can come to the right path, how someone can enter in the Dhamma path, that how you can say that this person is a Sammādiṭṭhi. And the other monks, they replied to the Sariputta Bhante, we came from very far away to listen to Sariputta Bhante. So, how the Sariputta Bhante will explain, we will understand that. And then Sariputta Bhante explained there are ways to explain that someone has attained the stream enteranship. And what is that? So, Sariputta Bhante gave the first path. He explained, if someone knows what is the wholesome and what is the roots of wholesome, what is unwholesome, what is the root of unwholesome. So Sariputta Bhante explains what is unwholesome. So 10 akusala dhamma. That is, Sariputta Bhante says, unwholesome. Killing beings is unwholesome. Stealing is unwholesome. Sexual misconduct is unwholesome. Then telling lies is unwholesome. Speaking divisive words is unwholesome. Then using harsh words is unwholesome. Speaking meaningless things is unwholesome. Excessive greed, the covetousness is unwholesome. Then hatred, okay, the vyapa is unwholesome. And then mittha ditti, having wrong view, worldly wrong view, that there is no result of giving, there is no result of helping someone, there is no result of sacrifice. That kind of, the 10th kind of wrong view, the worldly wrong view. Sariputta Bhante says these 10 things are unwholesome, and roots of unwholesome is greed, hatred, and delusion. Then Sariputta Bhante explained what is the wholesome. So the opposite of this unwholesome, that there is a 10 wholesome things. So Sariputta Bhante says those are wholesome. And what is the root of wholesome? Ungreed, unhatred, and non-delusion is wholesome. Sariputta Bhante explained, if anyone who understands completely what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, what is the root of wholesome, what is the root of unwholesome. So it's not just only understanding what I'm doing wrong or what is the wrong in this world, but to understanding how someone act on wrongness, how someone do bad thing, and what is the roots of that. If person understand from it, then we can say, yes, that person has fully understand. And then Sariputta Bhante says, when the noble disciple has thus understood the unwholesome and the root of unwholesome, the wholesome and the root of wholesome, he entirely abandoned the underlying tendency of lust. By knowing that completely, it's not just to know, but the realization. When we find these things in our day-to-day life, that when you have developed the anger towards someone, we get angry all the time, even someone overtake us with the wrong way, with the very fast, without giving a signal, we get angry at that, But with all that anger, we did not understand where this anger arises from. So the noble disciple who want to learn Dhamma, he sees that too. He sees that too. It wasn't anger because of he just overtake us. Some of those reasons comes in front and then we get angry. So understanding that, he completely abandoned that the roots where it arises from, he abandons. In that way, Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explains that he overcome of I am. This is me, this is myself. He overcome, and by that he understand, he attained the right view and walk on the path of Dhamma. Then other bhikkhus asked Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante, is that the only way to attain the right view? And Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante said, no, there are other ways. And he explained that there are 4 foods. So, what is the foods and origin of foods? Cessation of food and path leading to cessation of food. Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explains that. He explains that 4 kind of food, that what we eat, the everyday food, the liquid or whatever, the bread and everything, the subtle and gross food, those are all foods, Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explained. Then second one, he explained all the tangibles, whatever we touch, the feelings. And then Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante says that whatever the thoughts arise in our mind, and then vijnana, the consciousness. This kind of 4 kind of food, Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explains in that. And then he explains what is the origin of this food. That is, what is the cessation and path leading to cessation? It means eightfold path. So, if any noble disciple understands this food, not only food for this body, but the food for mind and food for survival. Beautiful Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante says that there are 4 kind of nutriments for maintenance of beings. So we are maintaining, we are alive not only just because of the subtle food what we eat. No, but this first also means contact, then the mental violation and the consciousness, these 4 food, these are all causing us to survive. Maintenance of being that already have come to be, for the support of those about to come, is even for those who are not born yet, but they are coming to birth. For them also, this food is helpful. So the beings who are in the womb, or they are in process to come in this world, these 4 kind of foods is needed to be alive or sustain in this world. So anyone who understands completely what is this 4 food and realize, that person can consider himself as I am stream enterer, or anyone can recognize that person is stream enterer. So these 2 things we talked last time. Now we're going to see the third one. The bhikkhus delighted and rejoiced in this venerable Sariputta's words. So these 2 things what Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explains, they rejoices. Then they asked him a further question. But friend, might there be another way in which a noble disciple is on right view? Is there another way? And then Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante says, yes, there is another, there might be, friends. When, friend, a noble disciple understands suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, the way leading to cessation of suffering, in that way is one of right view and has arrived at the true Dhamma. So, every time when we speak about Eightfold Path, the first thing we say the right view, and that right view we say dukkhe jnana, the understanding or knowledge of suffering. Dukkha samudaya jnana, the knowledge of origin of suffering. Dukkha nirodhe jnana, the knowledge of cessation of suffering. Dukkha nirodhagamini patipada jnana, the knowledge of path leading to cessation of suffering. These 4 noble truths we talk, Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explained, if any disciple, if a noble disciple understands these four noble truths, by that we can call him stream enterer, the person with the right view. So how can we understand what is this four noble truths? Sariputta Bhante disciple, he gave the beautiful explanation of that, elaborated every part. He says, and what is suffering? Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, death is suffering, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. Not to obtain what one wants is suffering. In short, the five aggregates affected by clinging are suffering. This is called suffering. So, when we listen Dhamma, when we say the birth is suffering, it's not just the being born in the human world. It's not the birth in this life. The birth is happening in all the life, wherever the being is getting birth. It can be in hell, but we know that hell is very painful, very hard to live. So, being born in there also is suffering. So the birth is, because of birth, all suffering comes. Animal world, you see that we feel that animals are liberated, they are free, they can wander everywhere. But how they live? They have to travel for kilometers and miles to find the water. To survive, always frightened for their lives. It does not matter wherever they are. All kind of suffering there is. So the illusion is that birds are very free, they can fly wherever they want. And majority of time we feel, oh, the birds are very happy. If I born next time, I want to be a bird. You know, have you heard such a thing? Some of people, they use that thing, you know. But see how they wander. From the morning to the end of the day, they're always seeking food, finding food for themselves, for their kids. Then they are always very worried, very frightened that a bigger bird will come and catch them. You know, that kind of fear. Always they have to protect their eggs or their newborns from predators. And they're always, you will find the birds are shaking with the fear. Which moment their life will end, we don't know. Sometimes we feel the pets we have in our house, they live a luxurious life. They don't have to do anything else. Just we have to love them, and that's enough. They give us love back. Even that life is painful. So whoever born in any life, animal form, it is suffering. Ghost world. The whole Petavattu is explained how the ghosts are living, what kind of suffering they are facing. That thing, if we understand the suffering, the birth is suffering. If the person born into the ghost world, then that person has to go through all these things. In human world, staying 9 months in the womb, then coming in this world with the crime. Maybe the others are enjoying, but from the childhood, if we have the consciousness in that time, then we will know how much suffering we had. But we don't remember our kids' time. You know, every time when we are hungry, then we have to cry. To be alive, everything is dependent on someone. See, the old people who cannot do anything, they need assistance of someone. And when they are getting assistance, how they feel? Same kind of things we have when we are born or come to do this world. Even in heavenly world, if we born, yes, maybe this happiness is there, but because of birth, the time has been decided that how much long you're going to live. So understanding that wherever I born, the suffering follows me. That simple thing, any disciple understands that, then he considers or she considers that birth is also suffering. It's not the happiness. So does not mean that you should give up on your life. No. It means be aware not to born again, not to do such a things which cause you to birth. That is the right thing to understand. That Supreme Sariputta Bhante explained, the birth is suffering. Then he explained that aging, that slowly growing old, having wrinkles, the crooked teeth, then white hairs, the lack of vision, eyesight is getting blurry, not having the strength in your hand where you want to walk, you are unable to do. So when someone is very old, that we can understand. But while you are getting old, what we think? Let me see any the darkness in under our eyes. We are very conscious of that. Wrinkles are coming, that we use all the, the creams that comes, stop the aging, something like that. Those creams we use, even for gents also, we use something to protect ourselves. We want to show I'm not getting old yet. That thing that we are getting worried that I am aging, we do not want to say. When we are very young, we always tell 2 years more, that if I am 15, I will always say I am almost 16 or 17 something, because license I have to take. But as soon as you cross 30, you always say, no, I'm still 28. I'm still 29 or something. Never tells I'm 30. That happens. Why? Why we are hiding our age? Because aging is suffering. Aging is considered, okay, now the time period has done. Death is coming soon. Such a kind of thing is there. That's why this is aging is suffering. Then unable to act on the life. See, if the aged person, if he is dependent on anyone else or someone else, from the latrine or from the all the stuff, they have to depend on that, and that is suffering. So it is not in front of us. We are not facing these things in this moment, but it is visible to us. We see these people are unable to do their own work. And then noble disciple has to think, because of birth, because of this in this world, we come. Aging is the part of this. And that aging is very painful to bear. Understanding that. Not to destroy the life. Okay, I am aged. Let me kill myself. Not like that. That will be the entirely wrong view. That will be an entirely wrong thing to think. But to understanding the karma I have created, that is the one is giving me aging. And if I continue to act on this karma, continue to collect such a kind of karma, then in future also I have to face same kind of aging again. Knowing that, Sariputta Bhante says, aging is suffering. Then he explains, death is suffering, dying. In this world now we see that there is a beautiful coffin, now, then earlier time, they just take the body and throw it outside in the forest. That thing you will never find today. They give you, when someone died in hospital, they give the beautiful makeup and everything. Like they make the person that that this person is very happy who was alive. So we feel that, okay, I have already booked my plot in cemetery, or even they burned me. that I will look good, something like that. But the process of dying, when the person is dying, that departing from all the beloved people, giving up the life, it's very painful, very hard. And the consciousness, what we live, the thoughts, what we have on that moment, it is very painful. That we are being attached with our body. All the time we want to stay here. See, in the Sayyukta Nikaya, the Kosal Sayyukta, if someone is dying on that time, if someone bargained for the kingdom, I can give the life to your grandmother. Someone asked to the king, and he said, yes, I am ready to give my kingdom to bargaining for my grandmother. See, no one wants to depart from them. Even the person, if someone says that I want to die, but there is a cure for his sickness, or there is a cure for survival, then that person will say, I will choose the cure, not the death. But death is certain. No one can stop that. And because of dying, this again, the circle of life and death comes again and again. And all kind of problems created. Again, the birth is there. Again, the aging is there. Again, death is there. If the person dies without knowledge. That's why Sammādiṭṭhi says, death is suffering. Then, all the sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, these all are suffering. In our day-to-day life, all the small things what we face, everything what we say, we are struggling to survive in this world. We are striving, we are working hard to gain the happiness in our life. But it does not come all the time. Small things affect on our life. So there is a pain. If someone says some wrong things, bad things, that we feel very bad. It hurts us, that pain. Sorrow is there, lamentation is there. This all kind of suffering is there. Then Sammādiṭṭhi says, not to obtain what one wants is suffering. That every person wants, who understands the birth is suffering, that person wants, do not want to born. Like our disciples also now, without understanding the path, they say, I do not want to born again. But just because he does not want to born again, can that person stop? No, cannot. That is also suffering. We do not want to get aged. We do not want to become old. But just it is because we do not want, we cannot get. That is also suffering. We do not want to die, but the death is certain. Everyone has to face death. Just because we do not want that and it is coming to us, that is also suffering. Or we want to stay alive, but we cannot. That is also suffering. So, Sammādiṭṭhi, not to obtain what one wants is suffering. In short, the 5 aggregates of clinging is suffering. So, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sanskara, Vijnana, the 5 aggregates of clinging. All these things creates the life again and again. All these things move our movement toward this world. That thing is suffering. This is called suffering. So this noble truth, the first noble truth, suffering, someone understands, then that person tries to find. And what is the origin of suffering? It is a craving which brings renewal of being. The craving, tanha, desire, pono bhavika. Pono bhavika means renewed. Again gives the birth. So whatever we are doing, the renewal of life, whatever desire we hold in our life, whatever greed we have, whatever lust we have, whatever desire we have, what it does? It is a renewal of our beingness. It is renewal of our life. So, craving, which brings renewal of beings, is accompanied by delight and lust. And delights in this and that. That is a craving for sensual pleasure, craving for being, and craving for not being. So, this beloved craving, Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explained, it is a craving for lust or craving for sensual pleasure, kama tanha, bhava tanha, want to exist. If the person does not understand the Dhamma, go and tell them. Like in India now these days I am, and most of people they do not know the Dhamma. They say, you are very young, and why you become this person? Why you choose the path of monkhood? You should not have done. Couple of days before I was in a village, and 2 or 3 people said to me, oh, you should not have used this path. You should not have. This is not the way to live a life. But because of ignorance, they don't know what is happening. And I told them, this is the life which leads to the happiness, eternal happiness. And even though, because of ignorance, they were saying, no, this is not life. You should have stayed at home. You should have worked hard. Because of ignorance, they do not know the Dhamma. So going away from home, they feel that is suffering, So they want to stay in the home. They want to live again and again. If you go and tell them, you can finish your life, there will be no birth, they will be very frightened. They will be they will think, no, I do not want to do that. I want to stay. Wherever the birth is, it is good. Because of ignorance. So that desire, the strong desire to to stay somewhere, does not matter where, but your existence. That's why there is one concept in Hinduism that when you die or when you attain the moksha, your soul connected with the Brahma. That you are attached with Brahma. It means there is not non-existence. There is that your soul will be part of something greater. See, even in that moment, the existence they mentioned there, that is a craving for being. Craving. We also I want to live. We may say that I want to escape from the birth life, but still we have the hidden craving for being. And then some of the people, they see the pain in this world. They renounce all the name, title and everything. And they go to the others and they strive for, I do not want to live. And they develop too much hatred toward this life. That craving of non-existence, non-being, it is also origin of suffering. This also gives the cause to birth. Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explained in this sutta, all 3 kinds of desire. First one, sensual pleasure. Second one, for existence. And third one is for non-existence. All 3 kinds of craving has a nature. What is the nature of that? Delight in this and that. The craving brings renewal of beings, brings existence. Pono bhavika, nandi raga sahagata. Nandi means giving that strong desire for that. This is called the origin of suffering. Then, what is the cessation of suffering? It is the remainderless fading away, ceases, the giving up, relinquishing, letting go, rejecting of the craving. So, whatever desire you have to giving up, renouncing that, I do not want this craving anymore. So, that one, giving up on your craving, Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante says, cessation of suffering. And then Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante says, what is the pathway leading to cessation of suffering? So, the Noble Eightfold Path. Noble Eightfold Path is the one to cessation of suffering. So this is the another way to attain the right view. And here and now makes the end of suffering. In this way, too, the noble disciple is one of the right view and has arrived at the true Dhamma. His vision, his ditthi is corrected. So this one, understanding Four Noble Truths is to attain the right view. Whenever we have these things, we continuously in our day-to-day life, we feel that this is happening surrounded with us. So how to see that? Have in your mind continuously that whenever you see the birth, be happy, be delighted, but think for a split of a second that because of birth, this all cycle of suffering will be there. We do not know what kind of karma this person has brought, and we do not know what kind of consciousness he's practiced and what kind of suffering he's gonna bring. Even though this is suffering you see, whenever you find the old people, aged person, compare yourself. You are not old yet, but you are destined to be someone like that. This kind of pain and suffering you have to face too. So do not give up on life, but give up on the cause what creates this life. So understand the craving completely. Because suffering does not caused by someone else. No one can give you pain. No one can give you suffering. What the suffering is mentioned in suttas. This suffering is brought by yourself, brought by ourselves. We cannot blame anyone else. Someone can provoke us, someone can make us angry, but getting angry is entirely dependent on us. You cannot say that this person brought the anger in me. No, it depends on you. Same thing, the craving also, the lust, the desire. These are gathered by ourselves. No one can brought us. So understanding that, destroying the ignorance, coming to the right view. Right view is very important. And these Four Noble Truths are really, really essential for us to realize Dhamma.
Namo Buddhaya, Bhante. I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes, Bhante. So my question is now, as a human, animal, all those lower ones, yes, like, the suffering is very visible, right? Even in the devas, they have wars and all that, so there is suffering there. But what about the Brahmas, Bhante? Because it's not a Kamaloka, right? What's the suffering over there?
Brahma also does not have the eternal life. If they are born, they have to die. So in Brahma world also, the same kind of aging is there, death is there. So if the death is there, it means suffering is there. It should not be all the time to the physically, or it should be visible. But even from that life, if it is departing from there, you can say that is suffering. In Brahma world, they also die.
Okay, but of course, I'm guessing as a Brahma, when you die, it's not as severe as when we die, right? Because we have the physical pain and all that as well, right? But a Brahma, they don't have a body, right? Or they don't have a physical body, right? So they don't have the physical pain, right? So for them, it's probably
body.
Oh, they do, but it's not like a hard body, right?
It is not like us, but they do have the body. So in that body, means it's not about that how they are suffering, that how pain they are feeling. This noble truth is about because of that and the consciousness what release, it gives another birth. Like in one sutta, Supreme Buddha saw some ant and he smiled. And then Ananda Bhante asked, Bhante, why you are smiling? So, Bhante, did you smile? And Supreme Buddha said, yes, I smiled. So what is the reason for that? So Supreme Buddha explained, Ananda, do you see these all ends? So he said, yes, Bhante. Each and everyone was a will-turning monarch. Everyone. So the highest happiness in this world as a will-turning monarch gain. And after departing from body, he directly goes majority of time in Brahma world. So now this all ends, they went to the Brahma world. They stayed there. And where they come back now? They born into the animal world. So even in Brahma world, your circle of life is not finished. It may be happy for that moment. They may be happy for that moment, but the cycle has not stopped yet. They are just enjoying the good time. That's all. As soon as it finished, they have to fall back into the circle of life. That is Supreme Buddha says, this circle, continuity is suffering. Means the person what needed, what wants, does not get is suffering. So in Brahma world, they want not to die. They do not want to die, but it is not in control of them. Even they do not want, but they are dying. That is suffering. They want, means when the Brahma sees that there is upper Brahma world, they want to born there because there is more happiness. But just by wishing it, they cannot get. That is suffering. They do not want to leave this Brahma world, but they has to. That is suffering. That is suffering. It should not be the physical pain. Like if someone is in coma or someone does not have the consciousness while dying, then we will say that this person has a happy death. No. The physical pain is a one part of the pain that we are talking. The mental one, the consciousness when we were releasing all the attachment, all the thoughts, even the unconscious person, the consciousness is not in this body on that moment, but in inside, that person is thinking all this, the process is there. So that is suffering. In Brahma world also it is same. That's why the happier world, like heavenly world, they are more happier than us. Like compared to the hell. In hell, there is a lot of suffering. Compared to hell, in human world, there is nothing. So we cannot say the human world is more happier, means happier place now. But compared to the hell, definitely. 100-fold time is human world is better. But this is not our last death or last birth. Again, we are getting born. That's why Sariputta Bhante explained this Four Noble Truths is suffering, or it is understanding, or birth, aging, sickness, death is suffering.
Sadhu Bhante. And Bhante, I have another question also regarding birth. So Bhante, I've seen many different interpretations for this birth, right? Like in one sutta I've seen, like it's about appearance of 5 aggregates descend into the womb, right? That's one level of truth, right? Then I've also heard a different interpretation, like it could be birth of a new Vedana, or it could be birth of a new Sanya, or birth of a new Sankara, or something like that, right? And every single moment this birth is actually happening. That's another interpretation I've heard. Now, Bhante, what is that a wrong interpretation, or is that just another higher level of truth? What does Bhante have to think about this interpretation?
Yeah. So all the time we are creating the consciousness. Okay, every moment, whenever we see. So in that way, that means from when we from our eyes, when we see the rupa and the vijnana consciousness is there, the contact appears, and with that contact, new feelings appears. The Vedana. Then we give the identification. So it happens every time. Every time it happens. Whenever you see the Rupa, whenever you see someone, this same process happens again and again. So that moment, in that way, every time the new consciousness is born, people consider, or that it mentioned that there is a birth in that way. Because it is happening again and again newly. But this Rupa, when this body decays, the consciousness, when it leaves and took another form, in that moment, entirely from nothing, this creates the four elements, it's gathered together. That birth that we talk the most. Our day-to-day life, the Vedana, Sanya, it is always happening, continuously happening. We are regenerating ourselves on continuously. But in this body, we are doing that. This form, this physical form, with this consciousness we're doing, it is connected. But once we leave this body, this Rupa, then what we create newly, it is completely based because of the consciousness, not because of the Vedana on that moment. Because Vedana is not alone. It creates the Sanya, Sanskara and consciousness. The cycle, the chain is there. If the Rupa is there, then there is a Vedana. If the Rupa is not there, there is no Vedana. So based on this body, the contact is there. Because of contact, their Sanya is there, the identification, knowing is there. Then there is a Sanskara. The forming of the karma is there. And because of that, the consciousness, another consciousness released. So when this body is decayed, what the consciousness remain, it creates a new form. That we talk about birth in this moment. But our continuous time, like when we see the impermanent, on that moment, this every beat and beat we can say that is birth, and that is a Vedana is there, Sanya is there, Sanskara is there, perception is there. That time we see. But for now, the newly creation of four elements, with newly forming the four elements, that is birth. In this right view, there is another one form about the right the birth, the knowing birth completely. We will talk about that too. So in that moment, we will discuss about the birth very well. Okay?
Sorry.
So the next Supreme Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explained that, saying, good friends, the bhikkhus delighted and rejoiced in the Venerable Sariputta's words. Then they asked him a further question. But friend, might there be another way in which a noble disciple is on one of right view? So they asked him again, that Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante, is there another way? And he said, there might be, friends. So he explained, Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante explained, when friend, a noble disciple understands aging and death, the origin of aging and death, the cessation of aging and death, the way leading to the cessation of aging and death, the Jara Marana. Jara Marana is suffering, the origin of Jara Marana, Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante said. Now, earlier he says all the things, the birth, aging, sickness, death, everything. Now, Sammādiṭṭhi Bhante says, even if someone just understands what is aging and death, that person is with the right view. And then he explains what is aging. He says, the aging of being is various order of beings. So, ya tesam sattanam tamma sattanikaya. It means the beings who are there, like in human world, the human beings, animal world, the animal beings, heavenly world, in heavenly beings, in the ghost world, the ghost beings. So all the beings in their own, where they are born in that world, their old age, the brokenness of teeth, the grayness of hair, wrinkling of skin, decline of life, weakness of faculties. This is called aging. So this aging we feel. So Sariputta Bhante explained, if the person understands like whole truth, and now this is one part of that, if person understands that, that is suffering. Understands that this aging is suffering. And then Sariputta Bhante explained, and what is death? The passing of being out of various orders of being. Yatesan tesan sattanam dhamma dhamma sattanikai. Chuti means passing away. Chavanata, they're passing away. Dissolution, disappearance, dying, completion of time, dissolution of the aggregates, laying down of the body, means leaving this body. This is called death. So this death we see. So all the factors that explains about death, we see this person is dying. We see this person has lived. To understand this one, there is one of the meditation called Navasivatika. In Sammādiṭṭhi Sutta, after the element meditation, there is a Navasivatika. So seeing the body's changes with the time, how this body changes. So that gives the idea of that this body is how it is changed after death. Understanding this aging and death, Sariputta Bhante says, knowing that there is aging and death, it is the right view, understanding completely. Then what is the origin of aging and death? So with the arising of birth, there is a rising of aging and death. So what is the cause? What is the origin of aging and death? Birth is the origin of. Because of birth, we cannot see just someone is aged or died because just without reason. No, there is a reason, because you come to born in this world, or any being, whoever they are born in this world, they are subject to aging and death. So what is the origin for the aging and death? Is the birth is the origin of aging and death. And then what is the cessation? So stopping this birth, giving up this birth, that is cessation of birth. With the cessation of birth, there is cessation of aging and death. So once the birth is stopped, then the aging and death is stopped. And then what is the path of leading to cessation of birth? The Noble Eightfold path is the cessation of birth. So Sariputta Bhante explains. So realizing that birth also. This is fourth way to realize the right view. Then Sariputta Bhante explained the next one. Like first he explained about wholesome and unwholesome and roots for it. Then he explained the four foods, the nutriments. And then he explains that whole truth, noble truth of suffering, origin of suffering, cessation, and pathway to cessation of suffering. Then he explains the only someone understands the aging and death is suffering, that is also enough. Then he explains there is another way. So the Bhante's bhikkhus asked, but friend, might there be another way in which a noble disciple is one of right view? So the Sariputta Bhante says, there might be. And then when friends, a noble disciple understand birth, the origin of birth, the cessation of birth, and the way leading to the cessation of birth, in that way, he is one of right view. So understanding the birth also, the origin of birth, cessation of birth, and the way leading to the cessation of birth. So even knowing of birth, realization of birth, that is enough to attain the stream enteranship. Sariputta Bhante explains, and what is birth? What is origin of birth? What is cessation of birth? And what is way leading to cessation of birth? So, ya tesan sattanam tamitami sattanikaya jati sanjati. So, the birth of being in the various orders of beings. They're coming to birth. The precipitation in womb, generation, manifestation of aggregates, all the five aggregates coming together, creating, that is obtaining the basis of contact. This is called the birth. So this birth, what it is? Coming to birth. So wherever the spontaneous birth is there, so it immediately comes. But some of the birth we see, it comes by the coming into the womb. That is also birth, generation, and manifestation of five aggregates. So Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sanskara, and Vijnana. These five aggregates of clinging coming together, appearing in there. And basis of contact. So the birth creates the places where the contact can come. If there is no body, so there is no contact. Any form of body is there, only then the contact is there. If the body is not there, if there is no rupa, even the Vijnana Dhatu is there. With that five elements in the Vijnana Dhatu, that also the mind also needs to think, So the contact of mind also comes with that Vijnana Dhatu. Then Patvi Dhatu, Apo Dhatu, Tejo Dhatu, Vaya Dhatu, and Vijnana Dhatu. So this thing, that comes to appearance. So the basis, these are the basis for contact. If the contact is there, then there is perception. Then there is a formation of karma. Then there is a consciousness. So the coming to the birth means forming these all things, creating with these all things. Sariputta Bhante says, this is the birth. And with this arising of being, there is arising of birth. With the cessation of being, there is cessation of birth. Means, as we born in this world, if someone stopped the birth, it means stopping the suffering. So, what is this? How to stop that? Sariputta Bhante says that the Noble Eightfold Path is the way to stop the birth. Understanding, fully realization of that. Understanding this birth, by realization of that, person can go beyond. Person can realize that this birth, how it is happening. If we understand that, then Sariputta Bhante says, by that, someone becomes with the right view, comes in the true Dhamma. He enters in the path of enlightenment. So it cannot be happen with every person. Not each person can realize by that. It depends on the variation of people. Like someone has a true attachment with the body or true attachment with the ourself. Such a person continuously rejoices in the birth. That person cannot say he is unable to see the birth is suffering. So this way is not for that person. But the person who can see clearly that because of birth, I am suffering. So this different way, why the Sariputta Bhante explains? Because every person's consciousness is different. The way of thinking is different. Everyone is not realizing with the same method. The person has a different ways to attain it. And because of that, when you are listening, when you are reading, don't think that this is the way I'm going to understand or all of this I will capture at once. No. First, study everything. Try to do every part of that. And then slowly understand which is making you more comfortable to understand this. Like if you can see the foods continuously, then you do not have to think about your aging and suffering and death. Just hold that this food nutriments what you are having. That is sufficient. if someone is unable to, if someone is delighted in eating, someone is completely craving for that touch, they're craving for the consciousness, that person cannot realize that, but sees this suffering in this world, and he sees that, okay, that my mind is diverted toward the suffering. So by that thing, you can realize. Like meditation also in Satipatthana Sutta, the person choose the different meditations, like 32 impurities in this body. That is one meditation. But in these 32 impurities, dividation is there. This is the earth element, this is the water element, this is the fire element, and that. So dividation is that. That is also one of the meditation. So whatever make you comfortable of that, realize with that path. Go with this. Don't hold the one thing as you can practice. Whatever make you comfortable to practice, choose the one thing and devote yourself to do that. That's why Sariputta Bhante gave the different ways to attain the right view. And now these other 4 other things about craving, feelings, clinging, these are also how they happen. We will going to talk in the next class. Any questions regarding up to this moment?
Bhante, when we understand one of those factors that Bhante Sariputta has taught, that means naturally the other factors, we will understand them as well, like we will naturally understand everything.
Yes, that's true. Actually, it happens the same because of this, all things is caused by ignorance. Once you realize one thing, then you realize all of them too. Like for attaining the jhanas, you can choose one path, but you can attain that jhanas in any way. Same thing, if you choose one thing and practice that and realize by that, other things will follow. Because there is a similarity in this realization. There is connectivity of this realization. Like someone walk in the mountain and want to see only just one building. Okay, that's why he walk on that mountain. But in his eyes, he can see everything. So same way, everything you can realize by that. That's why, because the suffering is finished. Suffering is finished because of that he climbed on that mountain. So all the pain, all the things where it comes from, that is. But for realization, you have to choose the one path. Supreme Buddha gave the different Dhamma talks, means the ultimate goal is enlightenment. But to reaching there has a different paths. So the Supreme Buddha explained to the Bahya Daruchari, just see what you are seeing. See as it seems, So that Dhamma talk cannot be applied immediately or as it is to the another one. But once the Bahya Daruchari understands that, he became enlightened by him. So after that, all the suffering, because Supreme Buddha did not mention that aging, birth, and suffering is there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But automatically the realization comes automatically.
Right.
Once you know this, you know that too. You don't have to take the effort to know that.
Yes, Bhante, Namo Buddhaya. I have a question. Why is it there are people, they actually went into coma. Sometimes they go vegetative, right? So meaning to say they couldn't move anything. Is there still the consciousness? Is the mental formation still there? My second question is to following this one. Well, if this person in the vegetative state, if he can still think, is there a possibility that he can get enlightened?
Yeah, we always want to see, something good in the worst times, That is the thing that you asked him. So the thing is, without knowledge, there is no enlightenment. So the person in day-to-day life that from centuries, we know the name of Supreme Buddha and everything. The desire is very strong to live, and because of that, there is escaping is very hard. Without Buddha, there is no enlightenment. No enlightenment. Because understanding the consciousness and getting rid of that, it cannot happen automatically. So even the person is lying down in bed, that person cannot understand. That person enjoys the life in that state. Like the person is unable to move the body, but the person has the consciousness. So what he has got, he may be suffering for that, but we find another way to live there too. Like the person who born blind, does it stop from him to create the happiness in his life? No, because his one part is not working. But what about others? See, so even who is laying down in coma, some of the time they have the little bit of hearing. Some of the time, not all the time, some of the time. They have time to time the physical contact too. But they are unable entirely to show the signs of that. Because heart is there pumping and everything is happening in that moment. So they feel that, but they are unable to work because of their brain has stopped the giving signals or the energy to the whole body. So the body is stuck, but still the consciousness is happening there. If they have a little bit of hearing, then based on that hearing, I like this most, I love these things, that attachment, the craving arises there too. Or the person is completely unable, so the hatred is there, I do not want this body. So the person suffers inside. And that also creates the consciousness. So when this body is left, another body has been, it is taken by that person. If the person is not suffering in this consciousness, it means the person was very happy, enjoying it before, but now he's unable. With the time he has angry, but later on that he comes to that certain point, okay, nothing I can do, but let me stay there. So even in that, he finds some comfort. So the consciousness of comfort is there. So there is no enlightenment in that way. Only noble disciple who has completely understand Dhamma, if the Dhamma he has understand, then there is a chances that he can become enlightened in that state. But if the person does not know the Dhamma, it cannot. Like why it is very hard to become enlightened in such a state. Even we know we are talking Dhamma for a long time, but do we have the control on ourselves? No, we do not have the control on ourselves. Like we know the hatred is very bad and getting angry is very bad. But if with the small things happen in our day-to-day life, we immediately get angry. But then we work, oh, anger is not good for me. Let me subside it. Let me get rid of it. And then we act because of Dhamma. Dhamma becomes very strong when before the anger arises, you become aware of that. That thing. So when you are in coma, and that time also the consciousness is there. It means there is a life. Just not acting the body, the body movement is not there, does not mean that person is gone. That's why the pulling a plug, it is also considered as a killing someone.